Well, hello there, and a warm welcome into another episode of the Web Design MBA podcast. Pleased to be with you on this rainy, as I am here today. It's very rainy here, Thursday morning, and I'm excited about sharing what we're going to talk about today. Literally, I got off a coaching call with one of my longtime students this morning, and this very question came up, and I didn't even know that it was the one that I was planning to record a podcast episode on today. So I love how that works out sometimes. And so I got to talk about this a little bit this morning already with a real student who was really having the problem. And so I'm going to share what the problem is now. This is something that plagues beginners a lot because they have a big question about it. And we're going to talk about this, and I think hopefully give you a little bit of peace of mind. Remember, this is the podcast, Web Design MBA, where we talk about the business side of web design. So if that's something that interests you, number one, welcome aboard. So glad to have you. And feel free anytime to go to webdesignmba.com and check out what's going on over there. Currently, there is a wait list active on the site for a new program that I've been working on behind the scenes and putting together. So if you'd like to put your name in over there, that's cool. Otherwise, just plan to be here with you every single week talking about the business side of web design, and super thrilled about that. So this is one of the questions that comes up very often, and it is, what about my portfolio? What do I do, especially if I am brand new or I'm trying to maybe break into a new niche or something like that, and I don't have a portfolio to work with? I have no items that I can show other people in terms of the work that I've done, right? And that's that sort of classic conundrum. No one will hire you until they see your work, but since no one's hired you, you have no work to show them. So what do you do? Now, I have a surprise for you that I'm going to withhold until the end of the podcast episode. I want you to hang around because I want to share something with you that will hopefully surprise you a little bit, but also give you some hope, okay, as to how this worked for me and what it means for you going into the future, okay? So until then, let me give you some ideas here for things that you can do when you don't have a portfolio. First of all, let's just start off by saying that it is absolutely reasonable in a profession like web design for a client to want to see past work that you have done. Okay. That absolutely makes sense. You shouldn't ever be offended by that or think that that's weird. Yeah, it totally makes sense. If you're going to do something for a client and that something tends to be visual in nature, I think it's absolutely reasonable that that client is going to want to see some of the past work that you have done. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I think it makes sense, but it really does sort of drive the knife into this question of, well, what happens if you've never done any work before? What happens if you are brand new? So let's just go down the list, okay? First of all, you could work for free. You could work for free. Yes, I did say that. And yes, I mean it. And yes, I mean for real. I mean, you could really and truly work for free. The caveat here is that you should do this only now. Okay. Honestly, if you've got one, maybe two portfolio items under your belt, you should no longer be working for free. At that point, you can demonstrate your credibility, and there's no reason for you not to start getting charged or not charging well for your work. But look, if you have nothing to show for your work, you're that new, I think 100% go ahead and offer your services to somebody for free. Let them know, hey, look, all I'm doing here is trying to build my portfolio. And by the way, here's another thing that you should ask them. Ask them that you will do it in exchange for a review. So now you actually get two things out of the deal. Okay, they get a website, but out of the deal, you get a website that you can showcase in your portfolio. Actually, you get three things. You can showcase this website in your portfolio. That's number one. The second thing you can do is get the review, which again, it'll be part of the conditions for you having done the work. So you can get the review from the client. And then the third thing it gives you is a little bit of SEO juice, because the link in the footer of that website will link back to your website. Now, this absolutely still happens, by the way. Footer links for the agency still get agencies business. Even today, my company gets business because of footer links that we have put on other websites for clients that we have built that lead people back to our agency. Okay, so please remember that is a strategy that absolutely works. So yes, you're going to be doing some work up front for free to get this portfolio item, but out of the deal, you get a website for your portfolio, a review, and you get some SEO link juice to bring people and who interact with that business back to your business as their web designer. So working for free, for real, in the very beginning can absolutely work to build your profile and your portfolio, and it can be very, very beneficial. The next thing that I recommend that you could do is to build real fake sites. Okay. If you are using ChatGPT or something like that, you can pretty much in no time not only stand up an entire new brand, invent a brand, but also have ChatGPT write the content for the home pages, the about pages, etc. It'll be way better than just using dummy like lorem ipsum dummy content. Okay. You can use real content. I would actually build it for a real business, even if the business isn't actually a real business, like physically you could drive to the business on the street. I think that you should create a name for this business, potentially even buy the domain name for the business, and treat it very much like a real website. So it's a fake site, but it is a real site. So there's two things that you get with this. Number one, you do get a portfolio item, and it does not matter that the business is not a real business. Okay. I promise it's not, because it's going to look like a real business, and that's totally fine. It's not misleading. If you want to go out of your way to even clarify that it is a fictional business somewhere on the page, then you can do that. But even though it's a fictional business, it's still a real website that you built. And so it absolutely counts, and it absolutely works. Another cool thing about this angle is that it gives you an asset that you can actually sell. Okay, so this is probably not something you've ever thought about before, but I'm always looking for ways, if I have to do things, especially if I have to do something for free, I'm looking for a way to make it make sense and to recover my time and some money on an asset. Okay, so if you have a website that you built for a construction company, and a construction company wants to come along and essentially just buy that website that you built for a reduced rate and assume their brand instead, change up the colors, switch out the logos, change up the wording a little bit, and boom, you've got a ready-made website for their brand. So you can actually, and so it's funny that I'm thinking in my mind about using this per se, like a home builder, right? Like a construction company or something. It's funny because actually construction companies do this. It's a lot greater risk, of course, to them because of the financials. But what they'll do is they will actually build a house and then sell it. Okay. They build a house and then sell it. You could do the same thing. Okay. You could build a website. Okay. That website is now an asset. It's ready to go, and then sell it later. But in the meantime, while you're trying to get it sold, it's a portfolio item on your website. So if it was me and I was sitting around and I was a budding web designer, I didn't have a team working for me, it was just me, and I was trying to get my name out there, what I would probably do is actually build a real website and then try to sell that website, rather than trying to sell businesses on the idea of having a website. And I would start with businesses who their website is not good already, right? You look at it and you're like, oh, my website is a major improvement to that. You could be like, hey, look, I literally built this website. It's custom. It would be 100% yours. Here's the price today. right? And then go for it. And then you could try to upsell them on maintenance and marketing and things like that to build a relationship. But rather than saying, hey, I'm going to build you something custom, you could just say, hey, look, this is a website that I built. It's perfectly oriented already for your niche. With a few adjustments, we can make it look very personalized to you. What do you think? And then you could just use that. Okay. So that's a way to do it, to build real fake sites. Okay, here's the next tip. My next tip is to network in high trust environments first. What's a high trust environment? It's a place where people already know you, your family, your personal social media, perhaps your church. Okay, doing some networking there where people already know you and they want to do business with you because of who you are and not just because of what you do is a huge step. It's a huge thing. Okay. When I first went full time in our business, it was January of 2021. I put out a singular Facebook post, and that one Facebook post honestly gave me enough business to get through July of that year. And many of the clients that I took on during that time stayed. One of them resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue for my business. Now, it was from that one Facebook post. Yes, that contact both went to my church and they were my Facebook friend. But honestly, I would have never just talked to them about it at church, but he saw my Facebook post. It was like, hey, we need to talk about this. So we talked about it. And then over the next few years, it led to hundreds of thousands, literally, of dollars for my business. So, yeah, very, very hard to argue with that. Network in those high trust environments where people already know you, rather than trying to walk into just a random networking event. And random networking events are fine, but what I'm saying is you will need less proof of your of work if you're in those high trust environments where people want to work with you because of who you are. They care less to even ask about your skills. By the way, in the very beginning, I very, very rarely got asked to actually show an example of my work. Now, I get asked more often now, and we have those examples, so thank God. But a really funny thing was that, yeah, I was hardly asked in the very beginning for examples. And I think I do owe some of that to networking first in those high trust environments. All right, my next tip here, if you don't yet have a portfolio, is to be very honest about your skills. Okay. Honesty and confidence are a big part of what I talk about. I talk about those in my subscription web design course, and I've talked about them here on the podcast before too. Honesty in your current skill level, but confidence about the result that you can give to the client will go a longer way than showing any visual. Okay. If it's your very first project and you haven't done anything yet, again, you can just tell them, hey, look, it's one of my very first projects. I don't actually have a portfolio item to show you yet, but I'm willing to either do this for free or I'm willing to, do this for a discount, whatever it is that you decide. Just be honest about your skills and where you're at. And then I think people are going to trust you even more, even if you don't have something to show them yet. Okay, and then my next tip before I give you two extra little pro tips here, okay, is to first of all is to be helpful in Facebook groups. Okay, now when you are helpful in Facebook groups, this is probably, I would say, the second best to the high trust environment, because when you're obviously on your regular Facebook profile or you're in your church or your family members, something like that, again, that's high trust. People know you. In Facebook groups, though, they don't know you, but they have the opportunity to know you. So if you become a presence, a staple, a normal participant in Facebook groups and become very helpful, over time, people will begin to know you and will begin to trust that you have skills because you're considered a group expert or perceived as a expert in the group on particular things. So you won't necessarily have to have a portfolio item to show them. People will know just because of how helpful you're actually being in the group, how skillful you are. So many times if I'm helpful in a Facebook group and then that goes to another call or something and eventually leads to business, which has happened many, many, many times, I'm not even asked for a portfolio typically. People don't need to see my work because I've already worked with them. I've helped them do something for free. I've demonstrated my work just in actually being helpful to them and for them. Okay. So I didn't even have to have a portfolio in those cases. Now, 2 pro tips here. Okay. The first pro tip is this. Before I rebranded to Skyview Marketing and Pro Membership sites, my sites didn't even have a portfolio on them. Okay. I was many years into full-time web design before I ever put a portfolio on my websites. And I'll give you one that's even crazier. I can't specifically trace back any income to a portfolio item for me. I hope you hear that. I'm sure there are people who wanted to do business with me and they saw items in the portfolio and that, eased their mind or something. But no one has ever told me, hey, I saw this website in your portfolio and I just knew that I had to work with your team. Nobody's ever said that. So I can't personally, now other people may be able to. Me personally, I cannot trace back income specifically to the portfolio. And again, my business did not even have a portfolio until recently. So it's really not a huge deal in my opinion. Okay. Here's my second pro tip for you. Case studies. Okay. Case studies. Moving beyond an actual portfolio and getting case studies are, in my opinion, the next step. And you can actually do this where you have both a portfolio and a case study. And that's currently what we're doing as well. Okay. But you can do both. And case studies intend to show where the customer was before they do business with you and the transformation to where they are now. Numbers are great for this. Before and after pictures are great for this. Client testimonials, to hear directly from the client, especially video testimonials, are great for this. So when you do start really focusing on building your portfolio, focus beyond just a visual portfolio and focus on actually creating case studies and writing up case studies that will go a longer way to guiding potential clients through the sort of transformation that you worked on with your clients. So that's what I have for you today on a portfolio. Do not, I repeat, do not stress about this. Like I said, I cannot trace back an actual dollar amount to having a portfolio in my business. But of course it's helpful to have one. And I think that this is a reason to do business for free in the very beginning. It gives you skill, it gives you practice, it gives you all the other things that I mentioned before, and it gives you that portfolio item asset to be able to use. That way, frankly, you're not embarrassed when somebody does inevitably ask to see some websites that you built. Okay. So I think it's a perfectly reasonable way to go about it. Okay. Work for free in the beginning, build some real fake sites, network in high trust environments, be honest about your skills, and be helpful in like Facebook groups and other groups like that. And I think that not only you'll find some ways to be able to demonstrate credibility without even needing a portfolio, but you'll be on your way to creating a great portfolio as well. Okay, I hope this has been a helpful episode of the Web Design MBA podcast for you. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, comment, all the things, and I will see you next time.